Blessings, brothers and sisters. It's Lori Spagna here with you today to chat briefly about your multidimensional light body, and also perhaps we might touch a little on the upcoming 777 triple Stargate portal. I want to share with you about the multidimensional body. Most people are just starting to begin to realize that, and this is part of the ascension journey, the awakening on Earth, that the mental plane, what we think and what we believe, affects our emotional body, how we feel, which then affects our physical body, including our actual health and well-being, and of course then reflects, people are just starting to really make this connection into the external world of what we see and perceive and experience. And this is absolute truth in this dimensional reality, in this paradigm that we live in this reality. So it's very important for us to be working with our mental and emotional space, our energetic space of what we think, believe, and perceive, and how we feel, so that we can experience in the physical world, both within our health, our physical health, and in our physical external world, that which we desire. In fact, the entire concept of manifesting, is built upon this concept, right? Because what you see and perceive and think and feel shows up in the physical world, especially if you do it in a conscious way with sort of the energy and desire and intention that you are desiring, right? This is basic. However, what people don't really realize is that we are 24 dimensions of consciousness. And when I talk about a dimension, what I'm talking about in this case is bandwidths of energetic vibration that have a particular frequency, meaning movement, or even one could say current, but movement or flow, the frequency. And these bandwidths of energy, which make up the dimensional field, the morphogenetic field, the ever-changing field of consciousness, that is unique to us as individuals. Each of us has our own morphogenetic field that has 24 dimensions of vibrational frequency. And our consciousness as unique individuals exists within that, in a sense, and is it. And so the concept of the multidimensional being is really goes way beyond just the mental, emotional, and physical states. And so in order to really truly have the experience that we're desiring, we must expand our consciousness, our conscious awareness into those 24 dimensional states. Now, in my experience, I will say this is the first time I'm teaching this class. It's a class that I'll be teaching. It's a webinar, right? And I'll be teaching people how to expand their consciousness in here. The webinar will be on July 22nd, Saturday in the afternoon, depending on where you are in the time zone. And of course, you can find out about it at lorispagna.com under the live events tab. But the idea is that in order to really truly up-level and expand and ascend, we need to expand into that multidimensional, expand our consciousness through those multidimensional states of awareness, because otherwise still we're working at a very limited state of consciousness, even though right now most humans are just beginning to wake up to realize they have to work with their mental and emotional state, right? That is still, you're still talking about only fourth dimensions of consciousness when we're talking about working with the emotional, mental, physical, energetic state. Those frequency bandwidths are still functioning from a very limited state of consciousness. And so here's why I want to say, because first of all, if you're still working with those fields, right, you've been working with your unconscious, chances are, if you're like me, you're a light worker, you've done a lot of healing to some degree or another, inner transformational work, breath work, and yet there's still areas of life where you've struggled, or where you felt blocked, or if you've had that kind of sensation or that sort of experience where like you've tried everything, you feel like you've tried everything. What it usually means is there's something that's beyond that fourth dimensional field. And even if you play in the game of 5D, right, fifth dimensional consciousness, which of course that's what we're up leveling into, even in that case, the stuff beyond the fifth dimensional field, your morphogenetic field, there's so much more to who you are. And if that stuff, those fields have some degree or another of density, information, insight, wisdom, consciousness for you, that's required for you on your journey, you don't get access to that until you expand your consciousness into it. I hope this is making sense. This is why I know myself to be an excellent and outstanding psychic, intuitive, energy worker, empath. I do have lots of people like this around me, and yet I have found that my gnosis, my knowing of things goes well beyond what the average psychic healer person knows or has, because most people haven't expanded as much into these higher dimensional, pure dimensional states, right? As much as 24 states of consciousness, 24 dimensions, sorry. Your light body exists in 24 dimensions of consciousness. All of those dimensional bandwidths have energetic consciousness, gifts, awareness, knowledge. I mean, it goes beyond what we can measure. And the interesting thing too is so many people are, taking classes, psychic classes, mediumship classes, healer classes, intuitive classes, animal communication classes. I love those classes. They're all on my workshops. I mean, most of those things are all in my sacred mentorship too. And they're on my, they're available through my website. But the key is that the truth is you have all that knowing within you. The classes are great. They give you the fundamentals. But to get really outstanding at doing those kinds of things, the things we call gifts, they're in your knowing. So as you expand into those other dimensions of consciousness, it starts to unlock and awaken organically. And I love the trainings. I've been teaching those classes for years, and I've taken many of those classes myself prior to teaching them. But I would just say that you have such resource within your light body as you begin to up-level and expand into those degrees of awareness. Your awakened body, which is the part of you that lives in the physical world with consciousness, has 12 dimensions of consciousness. We've been working on activating these 12 dimensions in the DNA. I only started activating the 14th strand of DNA in the last few years. I started doing that, and I never knew how much that would further activate for me. That was what ultimately was the stepping stone that helped me to access these other 24 dimensions of consciousness. Now, needless to say, we do those in the DNA activations, which I know I've mentioned this. The next one will be during the 777 triple Stargate portal of this year, July 7th. And you can register and join us for that event on July 7th. It's on my website as well, LoriSpagna.com, under the live events tab. But the thing I'm trying to help you to understand today is that the totality of your unique individualized consciousness exists in these 24 dimensional states. And the energetics and the bandwidths of these wave-like frequencies of light and sound, harmonics, when they start coming into really divine alignment, you become more of the fullness and the richness of who you are, the essence of the greatest version of yourself. And you start accessing such incredible untapped potential, including all of those gifts that everybody wants and is taking classes on. I can tell you it's within you. It's part of your ability. In a recent sacred mentorship call, one of my students asked, she made a comment and said, I want to believe that I can be a great healer, but I don't know if I really can be a great healer. And what I want to say is, and I mean, after that class, I feel certain for her, I think I can say this on her behalf, that now she holds the knowing that she is and can be and will be a great healer if she chooses and decides. It's all within us. And it's about unlocking those aspects of our consciousness that perceive ourselves not to have it, because the parts of us that perceive ourselves not to have it, not to have these gifts, talents, and abilities, are the parts of us that are functioning through our consciousness. Our consciousness is functioning at a lower, denser vibratory state. And the moment that density is unlocked and that energy is transmuted, we up level into an expanded state of consciousness that is available, where our awareness increases, expands, and the knowing, the certainty of those gifts, whatever they may be that are at that frequency, is revealed to us from within us, right? Because we don't think of those multidimensional states as being within us, because we're perceiving ourselves only to be physical. No, it's not within your physicality. It's not. It's beyond your physicality. And your consciousness has to expand beyond your physicality, right? So let me tell you some of the other things your multidimensional being has. And by the way, I have said this for years, your multidimensional being works in harmony with your DNA, and activating your DNA does help hugely to expand, because they work in harmony together, to expand your multidimensional consciousness. The two work in harmony together, but they are not the same. Your DNA is both physical and non-physical. Your multidimensional states, only the physical is physical, right? Your physical body is physical. Okay, there's some degree of physicality to your mental and emotional states, because thoughts are things, beliefs are things. This is true. But we're talking about going way beyond that. So you are much more than just those things. And within that greatness of you that you expand into by becoming more whole and complete in those multidimensional states where you are complete, but your consciousness, you're not aligned yet, right? We're waking up to this stuff. There's the solutions to all of your problems. There's the solutions to humanity's problems. Of course, you live free from fear. And you have such incredible gnosis, knowing, and access, unlimited resource, whatever that is. You move beyond carrying or having any kind of fear about your future or about money, because you can see into your own future. You can perceive your own pathways. You can make more conscious choices about the way your life will go, the direction of your life, all the resource that will be available to you. It's so beyond measure, and it's almost challenging to communicate it on the human level, and yet it is incredibly glorious. So I'm excited to be teaching this class. I think it is so valuable to us as we're ascending so beyond what's out there in the mainstream, in my opinion. just not available anywhere. I learned this myself, really, and it's from my own expansion, and I'm really excited to share it with you. You will be able to access more of the multidimensional aspects of you, and you will know what all of those 24 dimensions are, what's in there, how it serves you, what those dimensional states of consciousness are, and what they're about, and how to expand into them, and how to utilize them, how to transform your life with them. And this goes even beyond manifestation, although it will include aspects of that as well. And of course, you'll be able to connect more fully with your own collective in the non-physical. When I say your collective, your team of angelics and beings, because they're part of you in the multidimensional states, right? You're a collective. You're not just an individual as you. When you expand into those multidimensional states, you have all kinds of guides and benevolent beings of love in the non-physical, teachers and masters who are part of your team, and beings who are unique to you. So you will find this to be just an incredibly expansive. This is like a very progressed class, right? I hope you'll join me. Again, it's on July 22nd, Saturday, July 22nd. You can head over to lorispagna.com. Under the live events tab, you'll see the link for this. You'll also see the link for the 777 triple Stargate portal DNA activations webinar. On that one, we focus specifically on the DNA. But of course, the more DNA we activate, the more we become connected to in a conscious way, more aware of in a conscious way, our multidimensional states, but not necessarily fully embodying in those states. So the two work together, as I mentioned. So I would definitely highly recommend participating in both events, and I hope you will join us. I'm going to leave this for now. I just wanted to explain more about that and invite you to this. It will usually be at least a 3-hour event with a break, right? We'll do like an hour and a half teaching and then an hour and a half meditation practicum, where you're really learning this. I can assure you this teaching is not out there, not to my knowledge. It's really not out there. This is from the deep esoteric knowings that have not been released to humanity and are generally typically available only when one achieves these states of consciousness. And one sort of, right now on Earth, you discover it for yourself until a teacher like me brings it into the physical world. It's deep esoteric teachings that have been kept secret and hidden for eons of time and kept from humanity. And now they're being made available. This is part of the positive light side of disclosure, bringing out these deep esoteric teachings that are being able to be accessed by those of us who work deeply with the non-physical world and who are able to now finally translate them into everyday language for the everyday seeker, like all of us, like you, to bring into physicality, so that we can start incorporating these higher dimensional states of consciousness and being into the physical world, which is what transforms our human experience on Earth. Because, of course, as we move into those multidimensional states, we are purifying our field of the density. We are becoming more of the love and the light that we truly are. We are embodying more of our godhood, of our state of the divine, the divinity that is us. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope to see you on Saturday, July 22nd for the Awakening Your Multidimensional Being and the Infinite Within webinar. It's an online practicum, and you can register for it again at lorispagna.com under the Live Events tab. I also hope to see you at the 777 triple Stargate portal to activate your dormant DNA during that triple Stargate portal. That's also at LoriSpagna.com under the live events tab. I hope to see you for both of those events. I know you will love them and hugely benefit from them. I am so grateful every time I get emails from people in my community, emails and letters of gratitude and even videos of people just saying their deep gratitude, how these works and practices are changing their lives. In one of my most recent client engagements, a client student, she was talking about how her boyfriend has really noticed the difference and that he was a complete non-believer. And he is, after only a few short weeks of us working together, really seeing and experiencing the difference. And to have gone from when we first started working together, they were in a breakup scenario. And he was saying to her, he was just done with her. And she started doing the inner work with me to transform her own inner state of love and worthiness and to expand into more of the light that she is. And they're back together and really in love again. And he, a non-believer, cynic, skeptic, has said to her that he completely has changed his point of view and that he can see through from her how much she has changed over these weeks, complete transformation. So it's affecting him too. It's affecting and changing him in a way because he's becoming, in turn, of course, more accepting, loving, approving, validating of her. Because as she changes, so too does he. Domino effect. It's a beautiful, beautiful testimonial. In fact, she was so magnificent that she shared it on some of it on video, and I'm hoping to get that up on YouTube so other people can see that, because it really helps to know how this kind of work that seems so esoteric and out there really does change our lives, improve our relationships, with others, and especially with ourselves and with our own divine team. In fact, she calls her team the squad, which I love that. That's her language. And she says she's feels so much more connected to the squad, her squad as well from this work. So that just makes me so happy. Just really brings the joy. It's the reason for doing this, is to get to see how people's lives are changing for the better and how much their lives are improving, and even the people that they interact with who don't necessarily have any interest or even belief in this stuff are actually really benefiting. So incredible. So it sounds out there, and yet we bring it into this world in everyday reality to improve our lives so much and transform our experiences and then help those around us. So incredible. I'll share one other story before I close, that I've had a student client for many, many years who she herself, she sometimes would say things like, oh, it really helps with my neighbors. You help me with my neighbors. You help my mom with my neighbors. But really, she didn't always realize how many things were changing in her life dynamic that were improving the quality of her life. Over the years we worked together, she steadfast released all the unhealthy relationships from her life with, I will say, a large degree of grace and ease, and invited in new relationships, many of whom she met at my retreats, and developed and cultivated better, higher quality relationships with people in her world, and became a more talented and gifted person, largely through she would do the DNA activation webinars too, and developed and cultivated more of her own gifts. Overall, the quality of her life tremendously improved during the time we worked together, and so much of it from the energy work we did, that includes even her physical overall health. She had existed in a physical body that was very uncomfortable for many years. Her confidence was very challenged. She would always sort of take opportunities to, she was attempting to prove herself. And finally, she got to a point where she was like relaxing into more of who she was and able to accept herself more the way she was, exactly as she was, which really alleviated so much of her own physical pain in her body that she had carried for so many years. And it's amazing how so many things shift and change, subtly and not so subtly, from doing this kind of work. So much transforms. And then to have, on top of that, the kind of clarity and guidance that really is not so readily available just anywhere. Trust me, I've been around the block. So it's amazing when we start working with our field and shifting the energy, how much changes at such a relatively quick pace, ease, with so much ease and grace. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that helps make sense. And of course, if you have questions, please do feel free to email my support team, and we can do our best to help answer, not like personal guidance questions, but anything about the classes or the workshops. If you need to know more, you can go to the contact page at lorispagna.com and inquire there. And then in the meantime, please do join us for the 777 Triple Stargate portal, and also the Awakening Your Multidimensional Being and the Infinite Within Play Shop, online workshop Play Shop on Saturday, July 22nd. Both of those, again, at lorispagna.com under the Live Events tab. I hope to see you there. I know you will love both of those, and you will hugely and magnificently benefit from them. And so will the people in your world. Okay. For now, I'm signing off. I'm sending you so much love and wishing you your most benevolent best. Farewell. Bye-bye.